Good evening, people. Good evening. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. Today, where's it? Today is October 6th, I think, 2022, and the time is about 8:53 p.m. Wow. It's always very soothing to look at this beautiful skyline. It is priceless. I had a very interesting day, and I had no idea. It was just a very bizarre day, and I learned again that life is short. I'm going to be talking about two things, but primarily I want to talk about um, possible fraud regarding the D7 visa. You have a large number of people from the United States relocating to good old Portugal. And in investigating certain things about the D7 visa, um, I found out some things, and I decided, I said, um, let me just go outside, walk my dogs, and I'll come back to investigating some more. And lo and behold, I come across something, and it was very, very disturbing. I never saw uh, remains like that. Just a block away from where I live, um, someone from the neighborhood died tragically in a car accident. Um, they got run over by a truck, a big truck, and I just couldn't believe. I mean, when I got outside, well, the accident occurred. They said around it was after 11 a.m. and I got out there maybe it was after 1, and I was like curious why all this tapes were up, police tapes, and all this stuff. And I, it's a very crowded intersection. And so I asked one of the construction workers, just in curiosity, and he told me. And then pointed, and I saw uh, part of the remains. Wow. Yeah, the individual lives in the area, and he's one of those guys that live in the homeless shelter. It's one of the hotels that houses um, the homeless. So actually, technically, they're not homeless because they're living in a dwelling, and it's for, you know, to house them. And you have to pay to live in there because I've met someone that lives in that, if it's the same building. And I felt like sick to my stomach. I felt ill. Now, it has been, I haven't been out for about a week today, from today. It was raining all week. And I just wanted to just stay home. So, let me just relax. Days like this, just go within and just relax. And I just watch videos and try to research some information. It looked beautiful. Yeah, I got up a little late. I think I might have done a video earlier today. And took a nice shower, fed my dogs, and I thought, let me just take a very leisure walk and kind of make up for the week that I haven't been out, and go to, just to enjoy everything. It looked beautiful, and then I saw what I saw. Wow, that's all I could say. I understand now. I mean, I've seen things in the streets so that you might see, um, animals, small animals, a dog, um, something you might see, a bicycle accident. But the person, they'll be okay. The first time that I saw what I saw, I did not see the body. They had uh, covered, thank God they covered it. But I did see part of what I saw on the ground. Um, may that individual, uh, may he rest in peace. Who would know that going outside and he lived right, if it's that person, he just lived just a couple of feet away, and this thing happened. Yeah, it's an intersection. It just has a very dark field. Um, yeah, I don't like that area. Yeah, it's right around. Yeah, it's like a death spirit. They have the construction workers there also, for the supplies, and some of you need people to watch the supplies so no one takes them. And just feet away from where the accident happened, this car accident happened, there was a, a, a killing. A man stabbed another man. So it's just really weird that it's just feet away from where this other person had passed away. It's like a death spirit. And I like life, the fullness of life. But the full spectrum of life, for there to be life, there is always death. Always, because they're two sides of the same coin. And so I have to remind myself that. But wow. So it kind of pulled me down a little bit in spirit. And I continued to my park, and I greatly needed it. I greatly needed it. Yeah, I understand now how some things you see can traumatize people. And I have a neighbor that had seen a trauma. And this was a strong individual. She seems mentally very strong and bold and courageous. And the thing that she witnessed had crippled her. And luckily, she has a husband that she could lean on. So, wow. So anyway, so I want to just tie that in. That life is delicate, life is short, and I think in life it's always good to be honest, respect life, Respect one another. And is it worth it? Is it worth to go through all these shenanigans? So it's not worth it. So what I want to talk about, there's a growing number of people in the US who are going for the that's D as in David, 7 visa. It's a nice little visa, and I was researching it. And I had seen a video, I think it was 2 days ago, I actually saw it for the first time. I think it was on he did it could have been 2 interviews if it was the same person. I think it was the same person. And he was talking about the D7 visa. And in hindsight, some things seem to kind of stand out. And I want to share this. I will not give the name of the individual. I will not do that. But to, use the example, you use the information that I'm saying. So when you want to do your investigation or looking for a lawyer or something, what I want to share can possibly save you a lot of money and a headache. So that's why I want to share this, because I'm all about helping individuals, protecting individuals. I just have a need for that. Because I know if I did not know a particular thing, and this person could be potentially dangerous to my finances, I would want to know. So, so how I first found the individual was through a random video. And again, as I said, a lot of people in the U.S. are leaving the U.S. And I guess they're leaving for various reasons. And one particular country that stands out, where people that want to go, is Portugal. So I think with that knowledge, the intensity of certain news outlets could be very polarizing and a lot of drama, and people just want to escape that, and they just seek in peace and wellness. And you may have individuals who know this, who know that people want to leave, they want comfort, and they're going to pretend to be an expert. And somehow they get the notice of an individual, a fellow YouTuber, and they do an interview. And the name of the individual, I will not share the name, but it's all about the buyer beware, okay? Just the buyer beware. Be wary these days, because there is a deceiving spirit out there that would deceive anybody, the best of us, okay? So the name of the individual I thought was very, it stood out, the name. For me, it stood out. I like sometimes when you hear a name, it elicits certain types of emotions, or even some names might sound important because of the nationality of that name. and what that name might be associated with. And I'm wondering whether that's his real name that he shared. Because it just stood out. It's you don't hear a lot of names like the one I heard, but he had it. So I feel like it automatically, like some names elicit, um, like when you hear it, you don't go any further with it. You know, you just accept the name as an authority. You hear certain names and titles, that is an authority, and so you don't question it. It's carte blanche. And sometimes, you know, when you look at the people who are being interviewed, and the interviewer and the interviewee, and when you see them, you start to wonder, how did the interviewer meet an individual like this? Because the level of expertise they're supposed to be in, but the person that's doing the interview doesn't seem like someone who will be really interested in certain information, is to know of people of a certain level. How, because it's a chance meeting. The average everyday person, you're not going to like bump into royalty, or you're not going to, people of the same caliber, same type of socioeconomic, are going to usually meet people of the same. But somehow this person, met someone of this alleged um, background. So I think that stood out a little bit, just he, seemed a little rough around the edges. And again, that doesn't mean that someone's not genuine. Someone could be a layman just starting out, and they heard about X, Y, and Z, maybe through a relative or friend, and they wanted to investigate themselves, and they found someone of this particular caliber, reached out to that person, and the person was nice enough to do the interview. Some things are very innocent. But again, it's just some of the things that you might, that might have initially had you questioning. That's all. So the interview seemed to go well, but I noticed, like, when I checked the description to get information on the guest speaker, especially the hot topic of the D7 visa, the D7 visa, you would think that they would leave that type of information, contact, because people want to get information. The person said, like, um, that they have credentials on both sides, and that they have, they work in the U.S., and yet he's a European, he's born in Europe. And I'm not going to give the name of the country either. But he's a European. Allegedly, he's from Europe. He speaks uh, 3 languages. And he sounds very confident, bold, and he did give information. But I was just curious, someone of his alleged caliber, why wouldn't the interviewer have that information of him so that people can reach out and utilize his services? But anyways, they at least had his name. So I looked up his name on the internet. And what did I find regarding that name? Not a lot of information. I mean, he seemed like he's coming across like he's some big hot shot. Has this exotic European name that exudes money, prestige, connections, but yet there's hardly any information on him. And what I did find, um, I saw his photo. His photo is up on the internet. and a link. He was on a someone's database. Like you find now, I guess because of people are losing work, and now people have to like try to get clients, and so maybe you have individuals who start up a like a website, and certain professionals could register with this um, an individual, and it's like a database. And if someone's looking for, let's say, lawyers, and you could just find yourself a lawyer on the database, and nothing wrong with that. Uh, his name was on that database. So I, looked at the details of him, and how the name popped up. It popped up on the very top of the person's website. And at first, I mean, I honestly thought how it was presented that he was the owner of that company that the website was on. And again, I was looking for, they had his name and all that and a bio. But where's the telephone number? Well, you have to click on a number to register. I mean, to join everything. Like some databases, you have to be a member to get access to the information. I guess that's how they work it out. But either way, uh, I felt hesitant to do that because I didn't want to put in information and click that I've read something when I haven't read carefully. I don't want somebody, because people could be desperate, and you get sucked into, because you agree, because you state that you've read it and you understood and you checked it off. So I decided not to do that, not to check it off. But I wanted to find out information on him. But I thought the information was what he talked about. His bio was very, not done very well, in my opinion. Um, Very wordy, um, and not really clear. I mean, I have seen videos like, resumes like this, even with so-called professionals, CEOs, COOs, CFOs. Oh, I've seen them. I had an opportunity to work at an employment agency for executives. I wasn't there long, but I remember I had to like type up stuff, and so I had to type up their bios. And I was reading this. I said, "Wow, this is really." It wasn't written well, but you assume because they're of a high caliber. I mean, their credentials, or I should say, what level of work they're looking for. CFO, CEO, things like that. And it wasn't that well done. So I just, okay, this could be just one of those things, but I did see him on television, and he seemed very professional. I mean, he seemed to really know what he was talking about. Yes, thank you, viewer. Thank you very much for this thumbs up. Yes, so I was trying to look further for this information. Let me just a moment. I hope my battery's not going to come out. Wait a minute. My battery's running low again. I had it charged, but okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah, because I want to get the interview, this live stream done, spoken. Okay. Just take me a moment. Come on. Boy, it's hard to see in the dark. Just a moment. Okay, got it in. Let me reposition myself. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, sorry. So, so what I did next, I mean, it just seemed weird. My antenna was up in the air because um, this database was tax professionals. Um, and yes, he did talk about tax on this program. So I wanted to find out more information about him, just to try to, because I was really desperate to see a lawyer. Um, some of you know that I had almost lost a lot of money last month, and I want to prevent that from happening. And so I said, go talk to a professional, go talk to a lawyer, and get information. So I was just being proactive. So what happened next? Okay, so I had his name down, and I called up to get a refer. I wanted to get a lawyer, and I think I called. I forget the sequence of events, but I ultimately called up the New York State Bar Association, and I gave the name of the individual. In short, this person, uh, at least the name that he gave, it is not listed in the for him to work in the city of New York. Okay, that's important. He is not a lawyer, but yet in one of his bios, he mentioned that he's a lawyer for this European company, and that he acts as a like a liaison or like a counsel to the New York bar. So I said, well, let me just reach out. Let me find out if he's listed. He's not listed. Oh, I remember something. Okay, yeah, yeah. The first link that I saw with his name, excuse me, that database, excuse me, that database. How this database base works. Um, Someone opens up a website, and you register with this website your credentials. You you upload a photo, your history, contact, and these are like people who might be um, a CPA, uh, a lawyer, all that. It has their credentials and stuff. Oh yeah, so um, the link that I found with them of that database, he was on it. But when I spoke, I got to speak to the owner of that database. The phone was ringing and ringing, and she said she was so happened to be by the phone, so she decides to pick it up. And I asked her about the individual, how to get in contact with them. And it was she that said, we don't have any person by that name. I said, well, is this such and such company? She said, yes, it is this company. I said, well, I have my computer on right now and I'm looking right at your website with that individual's name. And again, I'm thinking that because his name popped up at that database, um, it was his face on the very top, like a very large photo and bio. And it said that he was a principal, meaning like he's the head of the company or whatever entity that he has. And so I'm just thinking he's the owner of this company, of the website, how it was presented. But no, why it popped up like that? Because the link was tied to his name. His name was one of many names on the database. And that if I would have typed in any other name that's located on that database, it would have looked the same. Person's face, bio, and other pertinence. And it was she, the owner of that database, told me, we don't have anybody by that name with us. And I said, well, I'm looking right at his face. So I said, look, I found your link. If you Google his name, you will find like a few listings with his name on it, and type on, click on the one that has your company on it. And so she must have done that. She says, well, he doesn't belong with us, and that he hasn't updated his bio since 2013. And I'm thinking, wow. She says, I will immediately remove him from our database. So that led me to looking up his name further on the internet, and then ultimately calling the New York Bar Association, New York State Bar Association, and the local office for New York City. And he's not a lawyer. And one of, I did find, when I got back from my walk today, I did look just a little bit further his name on the internet. And yes, he's calling himself a lawyer. What's that? Yeah, he's saying that he is an international tax lawyer. If I understand, international something, but I think it's an international tax lawyer. And even when you look on Facebook, he's on Facebook. And that was another red flag, is Facebook. Now, if you are a lawyer, an international lawyer, knowing multiple languages, 3 languages, being interviewed for, being a so-called expert, and that you have a specialty with a D7 visa that a lot of Americans are trying to get, you have a lot of friends on Facebook, honey, right? You have a lot of friends. Why doesn't he have a lot of friends? I mean, I don't have a lot of friends on Facebook. I don't really use Facebook, but you have a company. You claim that you have a company. And what you cover is a hot topic. And your social media, it's like scarce. He doesn't have the school he went to. Any information. If someone is of this type of caliber, he would have all that filled out, because again, you're a businessman. The interview that he did on YouTube, that's uploaded on YouTube, was done in March of this year. And you would think doing a video like that, being interviewed by someone, that people are going to look you up on the internet and want to befriend you, right? Why isn't this the case? And no contact number, nothing. It's totally inconsistent, everything about this individual. And I felt like saying, oh my goodness, wow. You have people. So when I went outside today, got to arrived at the park, and I was just trying to, like, calm down because of the thing I saw in the street today, and then I was focusing on this person, the alleged lawyer. That just imagine in life, we watch TV. Uh, I was raised on television, and I believed everything, basically everything that I saw. You see someone with a suit and tie on, and I believed everything that they would say. I would never question. But this is the age of questioning everything. Starting to see holes in everything. And I asked myself, why even go through this charade? You can just even say, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I have a specialty in this because I experienced such and such, and I blah, 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 blah. But it's not the case. And they can sound so convincing. So convincing. Yeah, I think he's done 2 interviews about the same topic, the D7 visa of Portugal. So I guess, people might have sensed the same thing like I did, because when you're trying to look him up on the video itself, no contact information. Why would a host of this show with this, requesting this type of information not have a contact number? Not have a phone number? Not an email? Nothing. And so I was forced to look him up over the internet. And he's also in LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, that's the one, that's this current, LinkedIn has even more conflicting, damaging information about him. If the New York bar finds out, yeah, the LinkedIn, he has an account with LinkedIn. And again, I checked with the New York bar, and his name is, and they tried different variations of the name. He ain't a lawyer. So I share this because, see, these days are very intense for many of us. We're stressed out. Um, we're under pressure. We want a relief. Many of us are leaving the U.S. And you have individuals who are exploiting that weakness that many of us have and claim to be something that they are not. Be careful of people who have these. See, anyone can get a YouTube channel and interview anybody. And some of these people are very convincing and make it look very convincing that these people have credentials. Some people are just a veneer. They're just a shell. But when you really start to analyze and listen very carefully, people, what people say, and consistencies, is what he's given, the information, is it consistent? And why do they not share specifics? What university? The company? You have all this type of information. See, with the internet, everything about you is out there. But what you can't really fake, when you have a bona fide company, an LLC, these things are registered. And certain people with certain uh, credentials will go to specific types of places to advertise. But when the logic doesn't seem to happen, then they get sloppy. He was getting sloppy. His work got sloppy, and so when you look at everything about him on the internet, then you really start to see, hey, this guy is not. Is very questionable. So, any of you who are looking for lawyers or things, different degrees, like we call it licensed occupations. You want to find people who are licensed to practice whatever, like whether it be law or a CPA. Their organizations, their state licensing boards. Go directly to them, the state licensing board or the bar association, things like that, where you get membership. When you have your license, you're registered. Your name is registered. Go to those sources to find out whether they really have those credentials. And when you don't see it, then okay, find somebody else. Start to ask questions when these people get these panels, and they're talking about these, moving abroad. Find out, ask them, hey, what are your credentials with this? And if they get offended, people get offended when they don't want to be outed. They get indignant because they don't want to be outed. If someone is legit, they say, "Oh yes, you can find my information on X, Y, and Z." Now, if they keep nitpicking, and you gave them that information that you could look up, then the other person's just being a jerk and just trying to be offensive, and you'll handle that accordingly. People are not oftentimes what they appear to be, and they're exploiting the social climate and could be trying to fleece the public. So I'm just saying to be careful, because you don't want to be fleeced. And even agencies, as I told you guys, it was last month, I called up a government agency to get information about 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago. And now they're saying, no, they don't have that. And luckily, I found out the time I would have lost thousands of dollars. So when you're getting information over the phone, even if you're talking to a bureau or agency, whatever, get the person's name, get like a logbook, get the person's name who's giving you the information, and date it for your review, so that if they come around later on and you want to verify what was initially told to you, just to make sure everything's on the go. And if they say no, they say, well, on such and such date I spoke to this person, blah blah blah, because they can easily just say, oh, this person doesn't work for us, whatever. But have your backup. I have no proof of the conversation I had with two people from that agency, a man and a woman. So, yeah, it can happen. I don't. It's just totally blowing my mind. But try to get things in writing, if possible, or can have them, or could you just email me the information so you keep a paper trail that yes, you contacted that agency. Because again, anybody could maybe, let's say, called up the wrong agency and they thought that you would talk about something else. Who knows? But either way, people are getting misinformation for whatever reason, and you'll suffer. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. Each one teach one. Each one teach one, okay? So, yes, life is short. And that gentleman who was crossing the street, almost home, just a couple of feet from his door, died a tragic death. And to see part of the remains is horrifying. And I think life is very delicate. I see that life is very fragile. That things you know, you can eat the best of food, the best organic foods and all this and that, and you can still die because like an accident. It's fragile. And because it's fragile, I feel that even more to live a good life, a life that of honesty, of integrity, because it's short, and you want to leave a good legacy for yourself and your family. To do something solely for money or attention. Some people want to get attention. They get interviewed and then they get popular. They say, hey, so and so did an interview with so and so. Hey, I'll reach out and see if I can get an interview with that person. And they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the person could be a fraud. Next time you want to do an interview with anybody who claims to be an expert or with taxes or law or whatever, ask for their credentials and see if you can verify it. And tell them, he said, look, anytime I interview someone, you have to present your credentials. I don't want to look like a damn fool. Right? Or someone could just say, look, I don't have credentials, but I have experience with this and that. So, okay, and make sure you tell your audience that. Okay? Your life is short. And I'm sure that person who's just doors from his home didn't see that coming. And the quest for money, fame, prestige will eventually catch up to you, because see, now I know about that individual that seems to be masquerading. And maybe these people, because he has so few Facebook friends, that maybe it's that way because they sensed something also that wasn't legitimate, and so they're not even uh, befriending him on social media. Yeah, there's virtually no con no the interview was done in March of this year, and nothing now. That's the only one that I could find. So people might have wised up and say, hey, his background seems very suspicious. Yeah. So that's all that I want to share today. Life is short. Enjoy the time that you have, and enjoy it in integrity, in wanting to help your fellow humankind. Okay. So thank you again, and have a safe evening. This is Spirit Journey signing off. Take care. Bye bye.